Hello students and welcome back. Today we will do the second part of the lesson Connecting the Dots, written by Steve Jobs, taken from Standard 10th English textbook. Let us have a quick recap of what we learned in the previous video. This lesson is written by Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was an American entrepreneur, business magnate, inventor and industrial designer. He was the chairman, chief executive officer, and co-founder of a very famous company that is Apple. He is widely recognized as one of the pioneers of the microcomputer revolution of the 1970s and 1980s. In this lesson, he shares the important experiences or the important events of his life in the form of three stories of his life. In the last video, we've done the first story. In the first story, he talks about how different experiences in life, which sometimes we think are not very relevant, or why are we doing it, why is it necessary, but sometimes in future, someday, we will definitely use it for some purpose. They will be of great use, and that is why he is saying that these are the dots that we connect the past and the present, okay, to create a better future. So the first story is about connecting the dots, connecting the experiences, and he shares about his college life and what difficulties he had to go through, what struggle he had to do initially, and how his calligraphy classes helped him later on, okay, to design those writings into the Mac. And then at the end, his after every story, he's giving us a message, and in this story also, he's giving us a message that you can only connect the dots by looking backwards, not forward. So we should also sometimes, it's also sometimes good to look backward and learn from what mistakes we have done or what we have learned. And he's saying that you have to trust in some things, your gut, destiny, life, karma. And this approach has never let him down, and it has made all the differences in his life. And so he expects us also to follow it. Now let us move on to the next part, or the next two stories of his life. Let me read the second story. It's on page number 63. Starts from my second story till don't settle. Let's read. My second story is about love and loss. I found what I loved to do early in life was Steve Wozniak and I started Apple when I was 20. In 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company. And then I got fired. It was devastating. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. And so I decided to start over. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. Pixar is now the world's most successful animation studio. Apple bought next. I returned to Apple, and the technology we developed at Next is at the heart of Apple's current renaissance. And Lauren and I have a wonderful family together. Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. In the second story, Steve Jobs talks about love and loss. See, in life, many a times, whatever we love is not always something that we get. And Steve also loved what he was doing. From a very young age, he chose this field. He chose to uh, build or to make computers, and that was his passion. He, along with his partner, Steve Wozniak, you can see the image in the first image that you see on this slide. Both of them had started this company in a small garage, okay, and when they were just 20 years of age, and this company, okay, had grown so massively that it within 10 years it had crossed, okay, 20 billion. And then they both were famous, they both were doing well, but somehow due to some kind of disparities, Steve got fired from that company, and that was devastating. He was completely shattered because he had built it, that was his dream. And when he was removed, or when he was fired from the company, he he did not know what to do, but then he started thinking that things don't change. Okay, we have to continue doing what we do. And because he loved what he did, he started over again. And he was not having any kind of burden now. Okay, we read that the heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again. Okay, he had become more creative in that period because he had no restrictions. There was no partner whom he had to consult or whom he had to ask. He was his own boss, so probably he had become more creative, more free, and more independent in this venture, that he started a company next and another company, Pixar, two companies back to back. You can see the images on the slide. And he was very happy, he was doing great, and this companies also became very famous. And he's also talking about the love of his life, or his wife, okay, whom he got married also. So whatever he wanted was not easy to achieve, but he struggled a lot, he strived hard, and then he was able to gain it. And then he's giving us this message that sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Okay, it hits us so hard that we don't want to get up again, we don't want to start again. But he's saying, don't lose faith. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. And if you haven't found it yet, keep looking, but don't settle until and unless you have completely got what you love. Let us now read the third and the last story of this lesson. Page number 63 to 64 starts from my third story, that is the last paragraph on page number 63, and it ends on page number 64. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Let me read it for you. My third story is about death. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. My doctor advised me to go home and get my affairs in order, which is doctor's code for prepare to die. I lived with that diagnosis all day. Later that evening, I had a biopsy. It turned out to be a very rare form of pancreatic cancer that is curable with surgery. I had the surgery and I'm fine now. This was the closest I've been to facing death, and I hope it's the closest I get for a few more decades. Having lived through it, I can now say this to you: your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out or drone out what your inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. When I was young, there was an amazing publication called The Whole Earth Catalog. In the final issue, on the back cover, they put a photograph of an early morning country road. Beneath it were the words, Stay hungry, stay foolish. It was their farewell message as they signed off. I have always wished that for myself. And now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish. The last story is about death. Steve Jobs was diagnosed with cancer, and this was a very crucial and difficult phase of his life. When he went to the doctor advised him to get his affairs in order, okay, which was indirectly a hint or a clue that he was going to die soon. So he better get prepared. He better sort out with all the duties or whatever he had to do. So he lived the whole day with this diagnosis, and later in the evening, he had the biopsy. Now, this turned out to be a very rare case of pancreatic cancer. Okay, but he got cured. The surgery was done, and he was fine. But he saw death from very close. Very closely, he saw death, and he's saying that he don't want to face it again for few more decades. He wanted to live more because he was very ambitious. He did not want to give up so easily. Okay, though he was undergoing treatment for cancer, he still had hopes, or he still had willpower to live for more. Okay, he did not lose hope. And that is what he's saying, that sometimes we get so much affected by the outside noise, or outside, or the people's suggestions, that we don't listen to what our heart says. So he's saying, don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the result of the other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinion drown out your own inner voice. Okay, we have to first listen to our inner voice. Okay, and that is probably the very important line that we all should take as a lesson. It's very important to have courage to follow your heart and intuition. Okay, because our heart knows what we want, and our intuitions are also sometimes right. They know what we already want to become, but we usually listen to others, and then we get lost in the way somewhere in the middle. Then he's saying, before, while he's ending this speech, he's saying that when he was young, okay, there was a publication. You can see the original uh, copy of this publication, that was Whole Earth Catalog. And in the final issue, in the last page, it was written, stay hungry, stay foolish. And this message he has taken for him, and the same message is giving to his listeners or his readers also, that we should always stay hungry and stay foolish, because that is sometimes very necessary to achieve something that is beyond our reach, or to achieve something new. We need to be hungry. We should never be satisfied with what not in the negative sense, but in a positive sense. He's trying to say that always try to reach new goals, or try to reach new heights. Only then maybe you will know completely what your uh, ability is, or what your true worth is. Okay, and then we've finished this lesson. Okay, but in the next slide we'll see there are many important life lessons that Steve Jobs is giving us. Let us see what they are. Here is a list of 20 amazing life lessons we can all learn from Steve Jobs. Now, all these lessons, or all these sentences, are self explanatory. Okay, so I'll be just reading it. Don't wait, make your own reality, control everything you can, own your mistakes, know yourself, leave the door open for the fantastic. Don't hold back, surround yourself with brilliance. Build a team of A players. Be yourself. Be persuasive. Show others the way. Trust your instincts. Take risk. Follow great with great. Make tough decisions. Presentation can make a world of difference. Find a way to balance your intensity. Live for today. Share your wisdom. Here are a few evaluation questions. For these, I request all of you to read the lesson carefully, especially the second and the third story. All the questions are from the second and the third story. Read it very carefully. The first question, rearrange the incidents in the life of Steve Jobs in chronological order. A. Steve Jobs started next. B. Jobs underwent a surgery. C. Jobs returned to Apple. D. Jobs married Lauren. E. Jobs was diagnosed with cancer. Now, to arrange this in chronological order, you definitely will have to read the passage. Only then you will understand, and the answer will be easy to write. Question number 2. Match the words in column A with their meanings in column B. Column A, diagnosis, devastating. B, causing great destruction. act of identifying the nature of a problem or illness. Okay, to know the meanings, you can make use of a dictionary, or if you read the passage carefully, you will definitely understand the meaning of the given words. Question number 3. Answer the following questions. First, what setback did Jobs suffer when he was 30? Okay, this is in the second story, okay, where he had to follow a major problem in his life. Okay, you read it carefully, you will understand what it is. It is in the beginning of the story. Second question, what does Jobs warn you about life and dogma? This is at the end of the third story. Okay, he explains us about the important lesson of life. Okay, about life and dogma. Okay, the meaning of the dogma is also explained in the text. You just have to read it carefully. Third question, how does Jobs close his address to the graduate students? Okay, this is at the end of the lesson. Okay, he talks about a catalog and then he reads a line from the last page of the catalog, and that message he takes for himself, and the same message is also giving to the graduate students. You need to find out what that message is. Question number 4. State whether the following statements are true or false. Read the text very carefully, and then all these questions will be easier to solve. First, Jobs started Apple when he was 20. Second, he started hating what he did. Third, Pixar is now the world's most successful animation studio. And fourth, the third story is about death. Question number 5. Use the following idioms or phrases in sentences of your own. First is began to dawn on, okay, which means okay, things started becoming clearer. Okay, the meanings are already given in the text as well as on the slides. Okay, you will have to frame a sentence of your own, a meaningful sentence. Second is begin anew, is to start anew. Question number 6. Identify the tense of the given sentences. First, I am fine now. Second, I have been facing death. Third, I have always wished that for myself. Fourth, my third story is about death. And fifth, it was devastating. You have to identify the verb, and you will be then you will better understand what tense it is in. So first you pick up the verb in the sentence. I hope you understood the lesson. Do take some values from this lesson for yourself. Thank you.